Right now, somewhere in the world, a stranger is walking down the street, sees a dog they've never met, and stops everything they're doing to touch it. They don't know its name,
We
they
just
don't know
have
if it
to.
bites, they don't even really need to. Something older than language just took over. And it's not just dogs. Cats, rabbits, blankets, stuffed animals, even velvet couch cushions. Humans reach out and touch soft things almost against their will. Ask someone why, and they'll laugh and say, "I don't know, I just had to." That answer is more accurate than they realize, because the urge to pet something soft isn't a personality quirk. It isn't cuteness culture or social media or something we picked up from watching dog videos online. It's a survival mechanism, one that's been running in the background of the human brain for millions of years. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at that urge or that dog on the sidewalk the same way again. The central question. Here's the strange part. Petting an animal does nothing for your body. It doesn't feed you. It doesn't protect you from danger. In a purely logical sense, stopping to stroke a stranger's dog on your way to work is a complete waste of time. And yet, almost every human on Earth does it. Psychologists have a name for behaviors like this, ones that seem pointless on the surface but show up in nearly every culture, every era, every corner of the human species. They call them universal instincts, behaviors so deeply wired that culture can't erase them. So the real question isn't, why do we like petting animals? It's this: what ancient survival problem was this instinct originally built to solve? To answer that, we have to go back, long before dogs were pets, long before humans lived in houses, back to a time when touch wasn't a comfort, it was the difference between living and dying. Part 1. The first touch. Picture an infant, seconds old, in the arms of its mother 200,000 years ago. There's no hospital, no blanket fresh from a dryer, just skin against skin in the open air in a world full of predators. That contact isn't optional. Without it, the infant's body temperature drops, its heart rate becomes unstable. In the earliest days of human life, touch is not affection, it's life support. Researchers studying infant development have found something remarkable. Touch triggers a flood of a hormone called oxytocin, sometimes nicknamed the bonding hormone. It lowers stress, it slows the heart, it tells the brain you are safe now. But here's what most people don't know. Oxytocin doesn't just respond to touching humans, it responds to touching anything soft, warm, and living. That's not a coincidence, that's the mechanism. Our brains never developed a sensor that says only pet humans. They developed a sensor that says soft, warm, responsive thing nearby, reduce stress, initiate bonding. And that sensor doesn't check ID. Part 2. The survival logic of softness. Here's where it gets stranger. Anthropologist Sarah Hrdy, who spent decades studying primate and human bonding, found that early humans who were skilled at reading and responding to touch had a measurable survival advantage. Mothers who bonded quickly with infants were less likely to lose them. Infants who bonded quickly with caregivers were more likely to be protected, fed, and carried to safety. Over hundreds of thousands of years, this wasn't just helpful, it was selected for. Which means the brains that survived, the ones whose genes are sitting inside you right now, were the brains that were rewarded for reaching out and touching soft, warm things. But evolution is a blunt instrument. It doesn't write precise rules, it writes broad ones. Touch soft, warm things, feel good, bond, survive, is a rule that worked perfectly on human infants. It also happens to work on a golden retriever. That wasn't the strangest part, though. Part 3. When the instinct jumped species. For most of human history, this instinct stayed almost entirely within our own species, but somewhere between 10,000 and 30,000 years ago, something happened that scientists still argue about. Wolves started showing up near human campsites. Not tame, not friendly, but close. Enough, often enough, that something began to shift. The wolves that were less aggressive got fed. The ones that got fed stuck around, and slowly, generation by generation, an animal that once might have killed a human child was replaced by an animal that would sleep beside one. Here's what's fascinating. The humans doing this weren't running a breeding program. They didn't understand genetics. What they were doing was following an instinct, reaching towards something that was becoming softer, calmer, more responsive to touch, and being rewarded with companionship, warmth, and even help hunting. The bonding circuitry built for infants had found a new outlet, and it worked so well that within a few thousand years, dogs became the single most successful interspecies relationship on the planet.
Modern humans believe we domesticated dogs because they were useful, but researchers now think it may be closer to the opposite. Dogs domesticated us by learning exactly which behaviors triggered our ancient infant bonding oxytocin-releasing instinct to reach out and touch. Part 4. The science that confirmed it. For a long time, this was mostly theory. Then, in the early 2000s, researchers began testing it directly. In one widely cited study, scientists measured oxytocin levels in both humans and dogs before and after just a few minutes of petting. In both species, oxytocin rose, heart rates dropped, stress hormones like cortisol fell measurably. In other words, petting an animal isn't just pleasant in a vague emotional sense, it is chemically identical in many ways to the bonding process between a parent and a child. That's why petting a dog you've known for 10 years and petting a dog you met 30 seconds ago can feel almost the same. Your brain isn't asking, how well do I know this animal? It's asking one older, simpler question. Is this something soft and alive that I can bond with right now? And when the answer is yes, it doesn't wait for permission. Part 5. Why it doesn't stop at animals. Here's the detail that surprises people most. This instinct doesn't require something to be alive at all. Children clutch stuffed animals during moments of fear. Adults under stress will unconsciously stroke a blanket, a sweater, even the arm of a chair. Studies on comfort objects have found that simply holding something soft can lower measurable anxiety even when the person knows, consciously, that the object can't feel anything back. The brain doesn't require logic here, it requires texture. Unlike us, our ancestors never had to distinguish between a real bonding opportunity and a soft object that resembles one. For nearly all of human history, if something was soft and warm, it was alive, and reaching for it was almost always the safer bet. That ancient shortcut still runs the show today, every time you sink into a blanket after a hard day, or can't resist picking up a plush toy in a store you have no intention of buying from. Reflection and close. So the next time you feel that pull, to kneel down and pet a stranger's dog, to sink your hand into a soft blanket, to reach for something warm when you're stressed, understand what's actually happening. You're not being silly, you're not being distracted, you're running a program written by millions of years of survival, a program that once decided whether a human infant lived or died, a program so successful that it rewired the relationship between our species and wolves, turning ancient predators into the animals now sleeping at the foot of your bed. The world changed. We built cities, phones, hospitals, algorithms, but our brains never completely did. Maybe the urge to pet every soft thing we